Before we start, the Executive Secretary, Monica Stankiewicz, would like to say a few words. Monica, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Manuela. Good day, everyone. I would like to welcome parties and stakeholders to our deep dive session on the effectiveness evaluation of the Minamata Convention. We have some 45 minutes to take a closer look to this agenda item of the upcoming 5th meeting of the Conference of the Parties, and also to present to you the documents that have been prepared to support parties' consideration of this agenda item. So I very much welcome your attention to this important topic. Many of you have been participating in the discussion on effectiveness evaluation for some time already. So you can, you can also recognize a significant progress that was achieved on effectiveness evaluation at our previous conference of the parties. There are still few remaining outstanding issues to conclude to have the full framework for the work for the first effectiveness evaluation. And these outstanding issues, basically, it's a short list. It's to decide when the first effectiveness evaluation is to finish, to adopt the terms of reference for the effectiveness evaluation group, where there is the only issue remaining is the number of members per region to be part of such a group, and then also to adopt the work on indicators. And this list is short, but of course significant and important for parties to conclude, so the work can move on. But let me stop here and just hand over to Manuela so we can begin with a more substantive presentation of this agenda item. So over to you, Manuela.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much for this introduction. Makes my work easier. If I could have the next slide, please. Before we look into this fairly busy slide, let me just say that what I thought for today, to take advantage of this time together, is I will try to go relatively quick over the documents that we prepared, then talk a little bit about the three outstanding issues that Monica highlighted, but also I would like to leave space for discussion at the end. So I will try to leave 15 to 20 minutes for discussion. What you have in front of you is the tentative schedule of work for COP-5. The agenda item on the effectiveness evaluation is 4A, as in kilo, and it will be taken up if we go according to the tentative schedule of work. It will be taken up on Tuesday in the afternoon. Next slide, please. So let's dive right into the agenda item. If I could move on, please, to the next slide. Just a brief recap of where we stand right now. Of course, our basis is Article 22 that states that the COP shall evaluate the effectiveness of the convention starting no later than 6 years after the entry into force, and then periodically thereafter at intervals to be decided by the COP. The most recent decision on this item, on this matter, is decision 4/11 that has made enormous progress. The COP agreed to start the first effectiveness evaluation. It adopted the framework for the first effectiveness evaluation. It also agreed to consider the timeline of the first effectiveness evaluation at COP-5, so the upcoming meeting. Here, namely, it's the date when, in practice, is when the first effectiveness evaluation will end, but I will get back to that. It established the open-ended scientific group, which is providing, it already started working, and it will provide the science base on which the effectiveness evaluation group and the COP can do their work. And it also agreed on most of the TOA for the effectiveness evaluation group, except for the issue of membership, namely how many members the EEG, as we refer to it, would have. So with, and there was also it made requests to the Secretariat to further refine the list of indicators. So you see at the bottom of your screen, the 3 outstanding issues. Monica has already identified them, but just to go over again, end date for the first effectiveness evaluation, establishment of the EEG, the effectiveness evaluation group, namely the membership, and the adoption of indicators. So I will go over the documents that we prepared for this to support the deliberations under this agenda item, but I will try to focus as much as possible on the outstanding issues, and then we can have a discussion. Next slide, please. Just to recap, this is the adopted framework. It's a part of Annex 1 in the decision for /11. It starts from the left-hand side from inputs into this process by the Secretariat, by the OESG. So you see a number of different products. And then we have one COP, which is this COP where we are now. And if you look after towards the right-hand side of the screen, you will see that we move on from the planning phase to the implementation phase of these plans that were produced by the OESG and the Secretariat. And here the effectiveness evaluation group comes and then does the evaluation itself. And then there is another COP meeting to close and evaluate to assess the outcomes of the EEG. If I could have the next slide, please. So there are many pieces to this puzzle, to the framework, but let's try to go bit by bit. And this is what you have in front of the screen, on your screen now, is the main working document for this agenda item. It's working document 516. It contains in section 1, it contains an introduction. Section 2 contains an overview of the intersessional work. It's divided with the work of the OESG and the work on indicators. Section 3 contains proposed action. The actual draft decision is outlined in Annex 1 to this main document, and Annex 2 contains the TOR of the effectiveness evaluation group as it was left from COP-4. So with all agreed text except for the membership. Next slide, please. We also have 2 addenda for this main working document. One is on indicators. It contains, again, an introduction. It contains in section 2 an overview of the intersessional work that was done. Here there was quite an active process of reviews from parties and getting their input and revising the indicators to streamline them according to the decision, and to propose draft indicators that may be adopted at COP-5. The resulting 36 draft indicators that were put forward by the Secretariat on the basis of this input through the intersessional period are contained in the annex to this Addendum 1 document. And I will come back to them in a second when we discuss the outstanding issues. If I could have the next one, please. And that's Addendum 2 of the same document, of the working document. And it's a progress report of the OESG, which is how we refer to the open-ended scientific group. On the screen, you have a long list of sections that are contained in the annex containing the progress report. There's a summary, there's an explanation about the background, an overview of the work done, highlighting that there were 8 online meetings and 1 face-to-face meeting that took place here in Geneva last March, end of March. And there are 2 summaries of the first 2 draft plans that were foreseen in the framework is the plan for monitoring data compilation and summary, as well as a plan for summary of available emissions and releases data. And here there is a process for the development of the third plan. That's the plan for data analysis to address the guiding questions in the monitoring guidance. The monitoring guidance is work that was done by the Secretariat in the previous intersessional period. Here I would like to note one thing, the OESG continues to work. So this third plan, the plan that's plan for data analysis, is continuously being worked on, and there has been some progress also. And on your screen, you see a note to see also information document 24. I'll come back to that in a second, but it contains a revised, or it contains a draft of that work that was done. So keep in mind that this work is still ongoing. So the addendum 2 also contains forward-looking considerations. So what the OESG sees as matters and issues for consideration within its own work, as well as expected results and schedule for further work. If I could have the next slide, please. So here there are 5 information documents that will also support the deliberations under this agenda item. Information 22 will contain an executive summary or key findings from the draft report on trade, supply and demand of Mercury. This is one of those input products that the COP requested the Secretariat to facilitate. This work was done by 2 consultants, and the key findings will be part of this information document 22. The draft report itself will be available through the convention website. Information document 23 contains, it's about the Article 21 synthesis report, as it's referred to by the COP. It contains in Annex 1 a plan for developing and completing the synthesis of reports pursuant to Article 21. And in Annex 2, it contains a preliminary synthesis of that report, of the national reports. Information 24 contains the draft plans developed by the OESG to support the first effectiveness evaluation. Briefly, the 3 plans are on your screen. The last one, that's in Annex 3, is already more developed than it was in the progress report, as I mentioned just seconds ago or minutes ago. Information 25 contains a non-exhaustive list of available documents to support the first effectiveness evaluation. And information 37, which is not yet ready, and it will take some time to come. This will come just before COP-5. It's the updates from containing latest information from the work of the OESG, especially with regards to a call for data submission and the further development of the third plan that I referred to. So it's a call for review of the third plan for data analysis. We can talk more about this if there is interest. Also to highlight that the information 22 containing the key findings from the draft report on trade, supply and demand is not yet available, but we hope that it will be available within the next few days, hopefully by the end of next week at the latest. If I could have the next slide, please. Very briefly, again, just to summarize, information 23 has 2 annexes, a proposed plan for the development of the synthesis report, and Annex 2 containing a preliminary report itself is an early draft. Next slide, please. Information 24 contains the 3, now you can see more clearly on your screen. It contains the 3 plans that were developed by the OESG as foreseen in the framework that was adopted by COP. What I would like to highlight here is that for each of these plans, you have, towards the end, you have also a schedule for further work. This notes it breaks down the activities of the OESG and it provides some guidance to parties when considering the entire timeline of the first effectiveness evaluation. If I could have the next slide, please. Very briefly, I will not go into details, just to show that information 25 contains a list of available documents and reports to support the first effectiveness evaluation. What I would like to highlight here is that these information documents are organized in the category of information, sources of information identified in Article 22. It's a non-exhaustive list, and it serves to provide a space where the EEG and the parties can refer to and have these documents in one place. But I foresee that this can be updated as needed. Next slide, please. So let's move on to the elements of to the draft decision, to the proposed action to the COP. Monica already highlighted that it's a very fairly small draft decision. Nevertheless, it contains some outstanding issues that are quite important. If you see here, the ones that have arrows, the three outstanding issues that I've already, and Monica also have spoken about. The first one is to consider the outcomes of the first effectiveness evaluation of the convention at a meeting. The exact meeting is to be decided. Second is to take note of the progress of the open-ended scientific group. It's an acknowledgement of the work. The third is the establishment of the effectiveness evaluation group in accordance with its terms of reference. We will speak about this again a little more. And the adoption of the indicators to support the first effectiveness evaluation. And another item which is to be expected, it's a request to the Secretariat to continue supporting the effectiveness evaluation process. If I could have the next one, please. Thank you. And no, yes, okay. It's just the previous slide showed you that we are moving on now to talk about the outstanding issues. So I would like to dig deeper a little bit into these outstanding issues, and also to help you navigate through all the documents to see where you can find information that could help discussions and considerations of these outstanding issues. So the first one is the timeline for the first effectiveness evaluation. The text of the draft decision is posted within this orange box that you see at the top left corner. Perhaps the most informative source of information to help consideration of this, you can find in the progress report of the open-ended scientific group, and the two sections, the expected results and the schedule for further work. What you see here is a snapshot of the schedule for further work, showing the two meetings of the Conference of the Parties are shown in black. These two, one is in November of 2023, and the other one, the exact date is not yet known, but it's somewhere around the end of 2025. And we are very soon approaching the first COP, as you know. So there is less than 1 year in real terms if the end of the first effectiveness evaluation is to happen at COP-6. There is effectively less than a year for the open-ended scientific group to do the analysis of the data after COP-5, which is phase 2 as foreseen in the framework. So it's already working on the plan. The review of the plan for the analysis is coming up, and these are the two bottom rows of what you see on the screen. But the actual work to compile, analyze, and draft is foreseen mostly into 2024, ending in September, and then a couple of months only for review, and then a couple of months to revise before this work has to go to the effectiveness evaluation group for them to put together with other sources of information and then provide their evaluation to the COP. So it's very tight. What you see on the schedule 2, which is what we will enter again, just to reiterate, it's the phase that we will enter soon after COP-5. So stage 2, you only see on the screen the work of the OESG but you can foresee that the work of the EEG would take place also start in 2024 and continue for the first quarter or the first half of 2025. So it is quite ambitious. It's doable, but if you read carefully the expected results in the progress report of the open-ended scientific group, you will note that there is a number of caveats that the OESG is already hinting that it is very ambitious. One of the challenges noted is that it's the first time that the Secretariat and a body established by the COP will compile data from monitoring. There are issues of permission to use that data with the need to enter into data use agreements with the different data holders, which we will soon start working on. But also the analysis itself. It's the first time that this is being done under the convention, and there are some challenges involved. So it's just to highlight that the shorter it is, the more pressure, so to say, that will be put into the OESG. But of course, there are also advantages in finishing this earlier. So it's of course to the parties to discuss and hopefully agree at COP-5 when this will end. If I could have the next slide, please. So back to the indicators, this is the second outstanding issue. You will see for this one, there is the draft indicators are contained in addendum 1 of the main working document, and it has 36 draft indicators. What's worth highlighting here is one, the intersessional process that took place. There was extensive review by parties. There were information sessions that were conducted with further input. Then the Secretariat took all that and tried to reflect all those views. In the table in the annex that you will see from the working document in addendum 1, you will note also that the indicators, what's new this time is that the indicators are linked to the relevant articles of the convention. And also it identifies possible sources of information for measuring progress against the indicators. And there are some notes also which are worth taking into account when considering the indicators. If there are other questions, we can discuss this further soon. But if I could have the next slide, please. Finally, this is the matter, the third and last outstanding matter under this agenda item, the way we perceive it, based on the discussions from COP4. And this is the establishment of the effectiveness evaluation group to work in accordance with its terms of reference. This is the title again of the draft decision. You will find the TOR, the terms of reference for the effectiveness evaluation group, in Annex 2 to the main document. And when we look into the terms of reference, what's the outstanding paragraph is the one that's posted at the bottom of the screen. You will see the effectiveness evaluation group will consist of, and then there is a range of participants, 15 to 40. I'll explain this in a second. From parties comprising of 3 to 8 representatives from parties from each of the 5 UN regions nominated by the region. So why 15 to 40? There are 5 regions in the UN system. So if it's a range of 3 representatives per each region, we will end up with 15, and it's 8, we will end up with a group that has 40 participants, 40 members from the parties. Here we don't have any more background information to support this, but this is a discussion that I think will continue from where we left at COP4, if the COP so wishes, and hopefully there will be a decision on how to move forward with this and establish the effectiveness evaluation group, which is a very, very important piece in the framework. With that, if I could have the next slide, I think it's the questions and answers, and I'm available now to answer any questions that you may have. My presentation was either very good or very bad because I don't see any questions. Hopefully, I hope it was very good. It is a lot to digest, but and my colleagues have just posted the housekeeping notes. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, either type it in the chat, but also we are available at the Secretariat. I just see a compliment. Thank you very much in the chat. But also, yes, we are available. And if I may, it's a personal opinion. It would be good if parties could start discussing informally within the regions and beyond the regions on how to resolve these 3 outstanding issues. We don't have much time before COP. So with that, I don't see anything. Thank you very much. If I could just have the next slide from my presentation. So this, thank you. I see another compliment in the chat. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. We have, it's just a snapshot of what's happening from now to the next online events under the Minamata Online series. We just finished the one that's the 3rd on the bottom on the left side. We will have the next one. Sorry, no, we will have the next one is on the 11th of October, is on the program of work and budget. And yes, I think that's the only one left. Sorry, I was reading these wrong. I think that's it. I still don't see any questions or any hands raised. So thank you very much. We are available if there are any questions. And before you go, I would like to thank my colleagues all who have helped very much, particularly Eisaku, who has been the mastermind supporting the OESG on the work with emissions and releases. Monica has always provided us with a lot of guidance, and last but not least, my 2 colleagues who are always helping with the technical side, but making sure that things happen very smoothly. It's Sharifu and Genium. Thank you very much to all of you for being here today, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.